These are definitely welcoming changes from the end user perspective, and for developers, this means that we should respect the privacy changes and access them only when necessary. Hello, and welcome to ReActivity Podcast. I'm your host Kalyan, and this is a show about Android development. In this show, you listen to the latest and greatest news, tips, and experiences of Android development that can help you become a better developer. In this second episode of ReActivity Podcast, we are going to talk about Google I/O. Every year, Google I/O brings us a ton of content, something for us to learn and try for the whole next year. It is a special event, especially for Android developers. As usual, which has been a norm for the last couple of years, this year's conference is majorly focused on machine learning advancements at Google. However, Android took a center stage as well, with a lot of updates when compared to last year, Android 12 being the biggest. Let's begin with Android 12 first. The Android 12 UI is the biggest overhaul that we have seen in the last couple of years. I believe after material design, this is the next biggest update. The design team at Google has done a really good job in designing the system. They have introduced a rich color palette that can be changed to make the look and feel of your device unique. They took it to another step with generating those colors for you based on the wallpaper that you set on Pixel devices. After UI, the next focus has been on privacy. There are a couple of new enhancements in this aspect. First being a privacy dashboard. In Android 12, you can find a dashboard in the system settings where you can glance at the privacy-related permissions that have been accessed by other apps recently. This includes location, camera, microphone access, and more. These are definitely welcoming changes from the end user perspective, and for developers, this means that we should respect the privacy changes and access them only when necessary. Speaking of developer changes, in Android 12, there will be an option to select an approximate location instead of precise. So when you request for location permission, make sure to check what has been granted by the user and provide the experience in your app accordingly. Also, there will be an indication of microphone and camera access, and a toast on reading the clipboard data are some updates which focus on the fact that it is a good time to clean up those unwanted permissions and improve the standard of Android apps in terms of privacy. One more privacy feature that caught my attention is the private compute core. When I first heard about this in the keynote, I pictured a dedicated hardware to store and process sensitive data. But it's more like a place or a layer in the operating system that is isolated technically from the rest of the system, other applications, and even from the network. Let me explain it with a simple example. Take the smart reply feature in the Messages or Gmail app. In order to achieve this, the app needs to know the conversation that is happening on the screen, right? So imagine if this feature needs to be built by an app. If you think of sending this data to your server and then running your ML model on it, then that is not a good idea in terms of user privacy. Of course, most of the services still do it. There has been some efforts in bringing the ML inference layer onto the device. In this case, the data won't leave your device, at least technically, and you can get the benefits like smart reply. So with Private Compute Core, this has been taken to another level where the data is sandboxed and the APIs to access the data are secured and open sourced. This way, your private data will not even be shared with the apps or the keyboard, but still we can get the features like Smart Reply. Make sure to check the link in the show notes to know more about Private Compute Core. Alright, let's move on to the next topic, widgets. Widgets are not new to Android. They may be new to iOS, but they have been around since 2008 in Android. In Android 12, the Widget Picker has been redesigned. It is a bit similar to what we have in iOS 14. They can now show a preview of the widget's look and feel before you drag them onto your home screen. My favorite feature in widgets this year is the improved discoverability so that the widgets can show up in search and in Google Assistance panel. I was excited to see the demo with widgets done with an e-commerce app. So when you ask Google Assistant to order something from an app, it can display the info in a small widget and then place the order directly from there. This basically opens up a new way for your audience to interact with your app. So make sure to focus on those long pending widget related backlog items. As of today, we need to write the UI for the widgets in XML. However, there has been a quick preview shown about the version of widgets written with Jetpack Compose. So there you go, another reason to try them out. One more API that caught my eye in Android 12 is the audio coupled haptic playback. You may have noticed a subtle haptic feedback in iOS apps at places like, say, when you place an order. We can do that in Android easily now with this new API. This will be very useful in use cases like, say, a successful purchase or an achievement unlock in your apps or games. These kind of subtle things make a lot of difference in terms of user experience. Another important update is that the Android Runtime is now being moved as an updatable module in Android 12. That means any improvement to the runtime can now be updated without a dedicated platform update. This will be a welcoming change as an end user that more and more features like this can be updated with fixes to more Android devices without depending on OS updates from multiple vendors. These are some of the updates from Android 12. And before moving to Kotlin, let's see a quick update on Android Studio. Android Studio versioning is now being moved into names. Android Arctic Fox being the first one. Such a cool name, right? And guess what? The second version is called Bumblebee. Both of them are still in preview phases, so you can still download them and try them out. These will have updated support for Jetpack Compose, improved build performance, and built-in accessibility scanner to name a few. Okay, coming to Kotlin. When it comes to Kotlin, it always starts with throwing some stats about the adoption of Kotlin in top apps on the Play Store and the adoption within Google. But this year's main attention is towards KSP, Kotlin Symbol Processing. It's a new annotation processor that speeds up build speed. The idea behind KSP is to replace KAPT that we have currently as the annotation processor. Unlike KAPT, which generates intermediate Java stubs, KSP parses Kotlin code directly. This is a welcoming change as more and more libraries of Jetpack uses more annotations. So if you are building a library that uses annotation processing, look out for KSP. Another important announcement is that the live data will be deprecated soon in favor of another Kotlin API called Stateflow. I personally didn't get a chance to try Stateflow APIs yet. Maybe we'll try them out and share my thoughts later. When it comes to announcements, the bigger one is that Jetpack Compose is now moving to a stable release this July after almost 2 years of active development. Looks like the Android Developer Challenge that had happened a couple of months is in fact to prep up devs into moving to Compose. Next up is Wear OS. Wear OS updates has been my personal favorite this year. I've been waiting for a couple of years now to see an update for Wear OS. I've used to use Moto 360 Watch and I loved it. But there has been no significant updates to Android Watch ecosystem since the initial releases. And no doubt it is because of the diversification in manufacturers and their own flavors of Android for watches. With no major updates over the years, many users like me were forced to use the Apple Watch. To me, a smartwatch should be a health monitoring device. Of course, other features like notifications, taking calls, or controlling music are an added bonus. This is just my opinion, you may have a different view. This year, to my surprise, Google took an additional step and managed to bring in a unified platform partnering with Samsung, bringing in the sensor technology, accuracy, and the battery optimization to Wear OS. And for developers, Jetpack now includes APIs for Wear OS, along with bringing in some cool features like simulating heart rate sensor data in the emulator, so that you don't need a physical device to try them out. And then the last segment in today's episode is machine learning. Google always had a special spot on the stage for ML. When it comes to machine learning on Android, there's an interesting announcement. Google has noticed that many apps have started integrating ML models in their apps, so they have announced a built-in updatable ML inference model that comes as part of Google Play services. This includes a TensorFlow Lite module and standardized neural network APIs that take advantage of a dedicated NN core in modern chips. I guess this model would be for common tasks like translation, live captions, handwriting, etc. On device ML, inference of course, would play a crucial role going forward as privacy becomes more and more important in the Android ecosystem. Thank you so much for listening to the show. These are some of the updates from Google I/O this year, and we have a whole year ahead of us to try them out. I will make sure to add the links to the topics that we have discussed in today's episode in the show notes. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at ReActivity Pod. If you want to ask me anything or want to hear about some of your favorite topics, make sure to tweet us with hashtag AskReActivityPod. Alright, catch you all next week.